Let's talk about Sarah. Sarah is a project manager at a tech firm, and on the surface, she's the picture of competence. But when I met her in my office, the facade was crumbling. Her sleep was fractured by a looping to-do list. A constant, low-grade tension hummed in her shoulders. Minor setbacks, like a vague email from a colleague, would send her into a spiral of anxiety that would hijack her entire afternoon. She told me, "I feel like I'm running a marathon, but someone keeps moving the finish line and I'm terrified of tripping." Sarah wasn't failing at her job. Her body and mind were failing to cope with the unrelenting stress of it. This isn't a personal failing. What Sarah was experiencing, and what so many of us feel, is a perfectly natural biological system gone awry. We have to start by understanding the engine of this feeling, the fight-or-flight response. Imagine you're a zebra on the savannah and you see a lion. Instantly, your amygdala, your brain's alarm system, signals a red alert. Your hypothalamus and pituitary gland activate, releasing cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart rate skyrockets, pumping blood to your muscles. Your digestion slows. Your entire body is mobilized for one singular purpose: survival. This is brilliant for short-term, life-threatening emergencies. The problem in the modern workplace is that the lions are metaphorical, but the physiological response is identical. That looming deadline, the demanding client, the contentious meeting, your brain interprets these as lions. The critical distinction is that these lions don't go away. They live in your inbox. They stalk you through Slack notifications at 10 p.m. This leads to a state of chronic stress, where the cortisol tap is never fully turned off. This isn't just about feeling tense. Chronically elevated cortisol impairs your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for executive functions like focused attention, rational decision-making, and emotional regulation. It's the very part of your brain you need to do your job well. So, you enter a vicious cycle. Stress impairs the cognitive functions you need to reduce the stress, making you feel less capable and more stressed. So, how do we break this cycle? The first, most powerful step is not to eliminate stress, but to change your relationship with it through a concept we call cognitive reframing. Stress isn't just a monster, it can also be a challenge. A seminal study by Yale psychologists found that when you view your stress response as your body's way of energizing you for a challenge, rather than as a sign you're failing to cope, the physiological consequences change. The pounding heart is preparing you for action. The quickened breath is getting more oxygen to your brain. I worked with Sarah on this. Before a big presentation, instead of thinking, "I'm a nervous wreck," she learned to say to herself, "My body is priming me to be alert and energetic." This subtle mental shift moved her from a threat mindset to a challenge mindset. It didn't make the butterflies go away, but it helped them fly in formation. Reframing is a mental tool, but we also need practical, physical tools to regulate a nervous system that's stuck in overdrive. This is where the science of the parasympathetic nervous system comes in. Your body's brake. You have to actively and deliberately press this brake throughout the day. One of the most effective and research-backed methods is box breathing. It's simple. Inhale for a count of 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. Repeat. This isn't just taking a deep breath. It's a physiological intervention. By controlling your exhalation, you stimulate the vagus nerve, which is the main nerve of your parasympathetic system, telling your body to stand down from high alert. Sarah started doing this for 1 minute before opening her email in the morning and before any meeting. It became her anchor, a way to signal to her amygdala that there was, in fact, no lion in the conference room. Beyond these in-the-moment techniques, we must address the environment that breeds chronic stress. A key concept here is Job Demand's resources theory. Think of your job as a scale. On one side, you have job demands, your workload, time pressure, emotional labor. On the other side, you have job resources, things like autonomy, feedback, social support, and opportunities for development. Burnout doesn't happen because the demand side is heavy. It happens because the resource side is too light. You're trying to lift a crushing weight with no support. Let's apply this. Sarah's demands were high, but her resources were low. She had little autonomy. Her every move was micromanaged. She received feedback only when something was wrong, and she felt isolated. We worked on a strategy to deliberately rebalance her scale. She scheduled a meeting with her manager not to complain, but to problem solve. She asked for one specific thing. To deliver the best results on Project X, I need the autonomy to adjust the workflow without seeking approval for every minor step. This will free up my time and mental energy for the bigger, strategic pieces. This was a request for a resource. She also began building social support, a critical resource, by instituting a no-shop talk, 15-minute coffee break with a colleague once a week. This created a small pocket of psychological safety and connection, which is a powerful buffer against stress. Finally, we have to talk about the foundation upon which all of this rests: recovery. Many of us live in a state of constant cognitive load, blurring the lines between work and home. We believe we're resting when we're scrolling through social media or watching Netflix, but this is often just passive consumption, not true psychological detachment. For your brain to truly recover from work stress, you need to create hard boundaries where you are not thinking about work at all. The research is clear on this. Psychological detachment is a primary predictor of well-being and prevents burnout. For Sarah, this meant instituting a strict shutdown ritual at the end of her workday. She would spend the last 5 minutes writing down everything she'd accomplished that day and, most importantly, what she would tackle tomorrow. Then she would literally say out loud, "The workday is now complete." This simple ritual provided cognitive closure. Then she committed to a recovery activity that fully engaged her mind and body. For her, it was learning to bake sourdough. The intense, tactile focus required, feeding the starter, kneading the dough, made it impossible for work thoughts to intrude. It was an activity of creation, not consumption. She was building a resource outside of work, which made her more resilient inside it. Sarah's journey wasn't about becoming a stress-free robot. That's an impossible and undesirable goal. Stress is an inevitable part of any meaningful endeavor. The goal is to become a better conductor of your own nervous system, to hear the alarm bell of stress and, instead of panicking, learn to assess the signal. To have a toolkit, cognitive, physiological, and environmental, to manage the demands placed upon you. To build resources and prioritize recovery so you don't just survive your workday, but have the mental and emotional capacity to thrive within it. It's a skill, and like any skill, it requires practice. Start small. This week, pick one thing. Maybe it's practicing box breathing before you check your phone in the morning. Maybe it's reframing one stressful event as a challenge. Maybe it's having a real, detached recovery activity for just 20 minutes after work. This is how you retrain your brain, rebalance your scale, and ultimately, rewrite your story with stress from one of overwhelm to one of empowered management. You have the capacity to do this. The first step is simply deciding to try.